What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. It's time for episode 7 of Guardians franchise. We've got a lot to go over here. We are a day before the preseason starts, so January 13th. And, a lot has happened in the league, but I'm not going to lie to y'all. Not a ton has happened with the ball club because, really as I was looking at things, I just didn't see a ton of moves. So let's get right into it. First things first, we have re-signed Mr. Shane Bieber. I thought about giving him a QO. Then I was like kind of looking at what he wanted. I was like, well, he's definitely going to take it if this is what he wants. And then I was like, well, maybe we just sign him for multiple years. This is going to be his age 29 season. Or no, excuse me, last year was. So this will be his age 30 season. So, we get 30 and maybe a couple of years beyond that. That's not terrible. So we'll get 30, 31 guaranteed at 15 and 17 mil per with a vesting option for 20 mil at age 32 in 2027 if he throws 180 innings, right? So if he's still healthy and pitching well, and I'm not going to cheaply manipulate it, meaning if he has even a 4.50 ERA, which isn't what we expect, but plenty capable and useful, I'm not going to pull him at $1.78 because frankly, if he put up another 180 some innings of a 4.50 ERA at age 32, that really wouldn't be that bad, even for 20 mil. It wouldn't be what we want. We're hoping for better. That's why we're paying him. But you have to think about the range of outcomes and what you will accept. So we just put this in so that we can have protection if he falls apart health-wise, because he is fragile and he is coming off of a big injury. So there's the risk, but I think we're covered pretty well here. Even if this contract busts and we pay 32 mil for very little, it's not going to set the franchise back. So I feel pretty good about that. He does get a little bonus milli for each 150 inning season, and then Cy Young and All-Star bonuses for Shane Bieber. So he's somebody I just really like. I was so bummed when he got hurt. I tempted fate by mentioning that we traded in the banked wins of the real-life Guardians for Bieber's health, and then we lost the banked wins and we lost the health. So that ended up sucking. But he's going to be around for a while. We got murked, y'all. Actually, this is one of 2 murkings. There was much murkage against us. We want to be the murkers, not the murkies. But what had happened was Baltimore put Mr. Kyle Bradish on the waiver wire. And as you know, the entrepreneurial GMs that we are, we saw, I don't know why that would make us entrepreneurial, just being stupid. But we were like, hey, let's pick him up. That's a pretty interesting scoop. Went in, hit that little scoop. I think that was even at the end of episode 6. So I'm going through doing the stuff offline for Ep 7, and I never get any notice back. And I'm like, what the hell happened? Did they trade him somewhere else? Did we get usurped? Because you get an email usually if you get murked. So I was like, where the frick is Kyle Bradish? Well, turns out he's on our team, but not for the reason you think. Notice he has 4 days left here. That claim was ages ago. We ended up having to sign him because they cut him. So they cut him before the waiver could go through. Thus, we're not getting him off of waivers from anybody. So we kind of got screwed there. Not the end of the world. But, this is interesting. And we got a little screwed because he was 1.5 mil is what he signed for. And then they cut him. What a stupid ass cut. I'm sorry. Even if Kyle Bradish is not quite Kyle Bradish, they wouldn't do that for 1 point. Okay, sorry. Not to get too incensed over something small. But anyway, he becomes a free agent. I like Kyle Bradish too. Another, real life fave coming here. 6 mil, 9 mil, 9 mil. Nothing too crazy. 3-year deal. Ages 28, 29, 30. Nice pitching depth. Does also have options just in case, right? Because right now in present day, we would never think of Kyle Bradish, getting sent out because he's back from his injury and he's a damn fine pitcher. Well, in our world, he hasn't quite gone on that trajectory. Came back last year for 100 innings, but he was legitimately awful. 7.04 ERA, 167 whip. So I understand why they weren't super excited to keep him around. I will say though, at $1.5 million, they should have definitely done that. But he whambeezied us for a cool 6 milli, and you know what? That's fine. We'll pay it. We also brought in JT Brubaker for minor league depth. Nothing too crazy there, but this move just happened, so I'll let y'all know. He's age 31. We'll put him in he's feeling normal about being in AA. You know what? If it's not a personality problem for him, then we'll just leave him there because we could actually use the depth in AA and not overfill AAA. All right, so then arbitration happened obviously quite some time ago. We smoked Naylor. Josh Naylor tried to get all cool with us, pissing and moaning about the contract that we offered. Boom, we pwned him. 7.7 mil. He was looking for 9.3. Get murked, dumzo. Now, I said that we got murked twice. We did. I'll get to it. Be patient. But it wasn't here. We got to Josh. Now, I am pretty against the whole the whole idea of arbitration in real life. I think it's pretty stupid to set up a meeting to go in and shit over one of your players over a couple $100,000. So I will say I'm not a practice what I preach on some of the things because I am playing a game here, right? And I'm trying to win the game. And frankly, this just in, baseball is a game. But there are things that I gotta be honest that I would probably do that I don't love when they happen to players now, but if I somehow found myself in a GM's role, which I never will, I would be like, this is the framework we work within. We got to do these things, And I'm not talking about like heinous, untoward things, like some of the terrible stuff that happens in like the international market where it's not even gray as far as like, is it cheating or is it bad or not? It's like awful. I'm talking about, like keeping them in the minors for a couple extra weeks to get that extra year. And it's like, we have to kind of deal with getting heat for a couple weeks in April on Twitter, and rightfully so, because we are clearly scamming this dude, but you get a full extra year of service. So, stuff like that. Anyway, I'm already on my first tangent and we are 7 minutes in, for crying out loud. All right, so let's get to, before we get to our second mercification, let's get to the expansion draft. The expansion draft took place, and Jonathan Aranda and Jose Siri went 1-2. Tampa Bay got ravaged. They also lost Ryan Pepio. They were getting smoked left and right. They also lost some lower name but solid quality players elsewhere. So we'll take a quick scan of both rosters. First, we'll look at Charlotte's team. Hey, Char, nice team you built there, you little goofus. Look at her all stretched out like a little dweeb that she is. So you can see, it's an expansion team. There was some talent, but I'm not trying to make it easy. I protected 20 players and everyone with 3 years or less on the as a pro, not service time, right? Because that's not major leaguers. That's how you keep the minor leaguers, so you're not having to protect all your prospects and whatnot. And I decided not to do a whole run-up with the protection list because I didn't find it that compelling, right? I had mentioned in the last episode, we'll get into that next episode. Nah, there was no real reason to be like, here's where our tough decisions were, because they really weren't many. It was a few relievers of some note, and we'll get into it. We actually lost one of them. Y'all might have said keep, but I wasn't going to do an episode where I was like, here's our protection list, post it, get feedback, and then maybe make changes, because there weren't enough key decisions like that. We did lose a guy, and he's pretty interesting, but he also has one big flaw that you'll notice immediately when I get to him. In fact, he's on this team. Both of them are on this team. We'll get to them in a moment. But they have Bubba Thompson, Andrew Monasterio, Jonathan Aranda, Ellery Montero, Nico Goodrum, Jake Myers, Jose Barrero, Ali Sanchez, Christian Pache. I'm not going to lie, this looks like a team that we would probably put together here. Given the pool that was available, and I know you guys don't know the full pool, but take my word for it, knowing how I played this game, I don't hate this. With what was available, there's some good picks there. I see Derek Hill, big-time defender, as a fourth outfielder and a captain. That's a nice little scoop. Pavin Smith, a real-life and OOTP player I like. Ryan Jeffers, a little bit underrated here. Like, he's not an amazing catcher defensively, but with 60 pop, this was a great pick. And frankly, I'm thinking he should be their starter. And I favor the defense, but I'm starting Jeffers. He is too good of a hitter, especially compared to Ali Sanchez, not to give up the extra 5 blocking and framing. So I think that's a miss on their part. But hey, I'm not here to run their ball club. On the pitching side, Dean Kramer, nice little pickup. That's not a bad ace coming out of an expansion draft. That's pretty solid. Ryan Pepio, as I mentioned, like I said, the Rays got ravaged. And I did go look, and it had some logic to it. There were other guys that maybe I wouldn't have kept that Tampa Bay did, but they had enough talent that I wasn't going to go in and just like make them keep Pepio, even though I don't really think they would have gotten rid of him given how good of a season he had. But you never know the Rays, man. You know, if it happened in real life, I would just think that Pepio's arm was going to explode and the Rays knew somehow. But JP France, Kobe Allard, and Keaton Wynn make up their rotation. That's a competent expansion rotation. You have to think in the framework of an expansion team, which is going to be inherently bad. I actually don't hate that rotation. Chapman's their closer. Okay, you know, obviously old pitcher who can still throw hard, though. I don't mind that. Maybe flip him for a C-plus prospect at the deadline if he's doing anything. And then we get to the guys that were taken from us. Trevor Stephan was the first one, but he's still out 3 to 4 months with his Tommy John. And I just wasn't going to take a spot with him or the other guy who got taken from us, Eli Morgan, who's also working back from a torn elbow ligament, 4 months for him. I wasn't going to give those 2 spots when we had comparable guys who were healthy, right? So I'd be surprised if any of y'all were really going to have a change of consideration there when you look at some of the guys that we kept along the way, like a Cade Smith, Karinchak, Heron, Elmon, who's in AAA that I might have kept there. Nick Sandlin, kept him. I did keep Sam Hentges. Where the heck is he? Oh, here he is. Sam Hentges in AAA. So these were the guys I was keeping. These guys are healthy and very similar. I like Trevor Stephan. He's intriguing, but he's still out 3 to 4 months. No real concerns when those guys got taken. Let's go look at Portland real quick. See what they put together for their ball club. They took Siri with their first pick, and he's their number 4 hitter and a great defensive center fielder. Excuse me, not much for the hitting. Actually, I will say, 40 avoid K. That's an improvement for him. He plays like a 30 avoid K in real life. Actually, he plays like a 30 avoid K here. He had 38% strikeout rate. I'm surprised it's at 40. That's pretty horrendous. But brilliant speed and defensive profiles there with some pop. I don't hate the pick at all. But it's Stephen Kwan. Hey, we know him, but he wasn't taken from us. What? If you missed that last episode, we traded him for Reynaldo Lopez. So that was covered. They picked him from Atlanta. So Stephen Kwan, Jared Triolo, Trey Cabbage, Jose Siri, Dylan Moore, Jonathan India, Tyler Stevenson. Ooh, little Reds double whammy there. Jose Miranda, nice little pickup. And Orlando Arcia, another nice pickup. So I will say the expansion draft AI has really tightened up. And, I want to stop short of, all this backpatting and giving myself too much credit here. But I will say our community might have played a role in that. There was a really bad expansion draft that we watched in one of our leagues. We weren't one of the expansion teams, but one of the teams spent like $300 million, and they cut half the damn roster after the draft. So I showed it to the devs. I said, this was pretty bad. Like, it's bad enough the hill that expansion teams have to climb. They're going to be dead. By the way, also not saying that nobody else ever pointed this out. I might have been, being that I have some access, might have been that final straw in the camel's back that's like, okay, we really need to address this now. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like, 'twas I, the only one who could possibly discover this flaw. But things were subsequently improved, and now I'm seeing some much better expansion drafts here in 25. So, big credit to the community. Not necessarily directly to me, but our community put a little, because you guys had mentioned that you'd seen that too. It wasn't a one-off. I'm not going to take a one-off example and say, like, this is broken, but it was something that was a through line, and so we presented it. Ranger Suarez as their ace, coming off a pretty good season. I don't know that Philly would have kept him available, but not terribly implausible, but probably not. The season he's having this year, no shot, of course. Tony Gonsolin with all of his injuries and the Dodgers' depth. Yep, that's a nice scoop. Seth Johnson's a nice quality pitcher who could definitely find some things. I actually really like this pickup for them. Pretty surprised Houston couldn't find a spot for him because their talent... he came from Houston ages ago. He's in Baltimore system, which their system is deep, so I get it. Josiah Gray, yeah, take the upside there. See if you can find something. Nabil Krismat, the guy who I'd pick up off waivers at the beginning of like every sim last year, and he panned out like once. I got enamored with it, picked him up 52 more times, and went 1 for 53. But that one was the first one. And none of our guys here, like some decent names in the bullpen, but I'm not going to read all of them because, you know, it's bullpen guys, but not bad. So not bad teams here. And for that reason, because I thought they came out with pretty solid teams. Now, the only problem is they don't have minor league systems. Do they just have to build that through free agents here? Or is there a way to like maybe help them a little bit? I think there was an option on that when I was setting the draft. Oh, by the way, there's the development lab size, players and team. Some of y'all had some great comments about it. I was shouting players and team at the screen like it was Blue's Clues. What's funny is I came on this screen at one point and I go, well, I know it's not on here. And then I went on to the next one. Whoops. Anyhoozle. So finishing my point there about the fact that their base teams weren't too bad. I don't want to say they're great or anything. I don't want to overrate this and be like, oh, these teams are fine. They'll be in the playoffs next year. But because their teams are pretty decent, I just let the lottery be what it was. I selected that they should get 1 and 2, and you can see that Portland was 1, Charlotte was 2, but they fell to 3 and 7 respectively, and I'm just going to leave it. They'll pick 1 and 2 in all the other rounds. I don't think it's the end of the world there. Because I thought they got maybe more talent. Not that than they deserved with the 20 kept, but I thought their teams turned out okay. So they can pick 2 or 3 and 7. It's fine. You know what maybe I would do though? If I could do something. Let me go in commission mode real quick. Okay. I was going to say if I could edit the budgets. If I could have edited the direct budgets, I would have given them both maybe some more draft money. So, like, okay, you don't get to pick 1 and 2, but you get a little extra cashish. Nah. All right, well, they'll be fine. They'll be fine. And I'll tell you what, if they both lose like 110 games each, I'll give them the 1 and 2 picks next. Well, they'll be in the lottery for them, but I'll hook them up down the line if I have to. But I just let the lottery be what it was. All right, on to our second Merkage, aka a dipsy doodle. Young-Choy, made-up player, as I believe. Let me look actually just to make sure. Young-Choy. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me so much. Not made up at all. Shut your mouth, Paul Spory. You're made up. You fuck. Pardon me. Not made up in the slightest. Young-Choy is very real. But I don't feel bad for maybe not knowing that, because I'm a little peeved with this gentleman, with this gentle sir here, who is nearly my equal in age. And so we are peers, and we have same levels of talent at things, right? Just kidding. He's an amazing baseball player over in the KBO. Cut to the point, Paul. He came over, or he was listed on the international free agents, if you go to the international free agent email. And I was working up, I'm not going to find it. If I can find it in like 2 seconds here. International free agents, bang. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? What? Now he's not on here? Oh, God. I'm being Berenstain-Baird. Shit. Anyway, shut your mouth. He was a free agent. I swear it on my life. So maybe he didn't come over on that list, but when I was in the free agent list here in the Offseason Center, he was on it. Don't gaslight me, game. Make me look like an asshole. And so then I'm looking at him, and let's take a look at him. Choi here, first off, game is incorrect. He's a switch hitter. I'm looking at his B-ref right now, so I'm gonna switch that just in case he comes back next year. Go back into commission mode real quick. Bats, switcherino. Pop that back off. Anywho, he was coming over and bringing his big power bat at age 37 with great leader adaptability and work ethic. And I was like, this is our dude. We're not going to make a huge splash in free agency. Yes, I understand he plays third. I'll get to that in a second. Stop typing. So I'm like, this is our guy. We need some right-handedness, and obviously he was right-handed in the game, and I didn't know he was a real-life switch hitter. But either way, that would have been fine too. We just didn't need another damn lefty. Sorry, left-handers. No hate. Both my parents were lefties. But we have so many damn left-handers. We need some right-handed pop. And I'm looking, I'm like, this is the guy. Now, to address the third base thing, he's not that good over there. J-Ram is way better. Move him to first. And then move Naylor back to the outfield. He's not very good out there. So maybe a little bit of occasional outfield, but mostly DH. That was the plan. And Stowers, start against righties and bench against lefties, like he and Jonathan Rodriguez, a platoon. That was the game plan. And then like a week in, and just to prove, because I know some of y'all are doubting. I can hear you. I can still hear some of you typing too. Stop it. Boom. Why would I have gotten an email that he signed with Lotte if he wasn't available? Okay. So, I don't know what happened. I don't know why he was available. By the way, how come when I search Choi, probably choice. Is the word choice in here somewhere? I don't need to look it up because I was like, why is Choi showing up in Andy Ibanez and Colton Cowser's reports when I search the email? Yeah, choices. Okay. Dude, I am like a fucking cat with the laser light. I see it. I just like, let me go look over there. Let me go look over there. Pay attention, Paul. So I was pretty bummed about that. First off, the fact that he's real makes me 10 times angrier about this. I love these stories. These legends over in the KBO or the Japanese league coming over in their mid to late 30s to put up a few years in the pros, in the majors, to be like, you know what? I conquered this league and I went over to the majors and did a little something. Obviously, at age 37, they're not going to be their best, but if he came over and put up like a 125 WRC plus with 25, 30 bombs, that'd be pretty awesome. You can hang your hat on that pretty nicely, especially if he came over for a couple of years and did well at this age. And I would have eventually discovered that he was real because I probably would have just Googled it just to see, even though I didn't do it right away. And he just up and signed with the Giants. The problem, I offered him way more than this. He was getting $7 million. He takes 2.36 to stay home. Now, part of me gets it. Even when you're talking about, big money. Do I want all that extra money just to move clear across the world? I don't know. I'm being so serious. I could totally understand. Now, I don't have a talent that anyone is paying me that kind of money to move clear across the world either. So who gives a shit what I think, right? Let's just be clear on that. Well, I don't know if I would do it. I'm a bit of a homebody. I like to stay home and play my video games with my puppy. Like, yeah, we know, dork. Nobody's desiring your talent at $7 million to move clear across the country. But, when I do kind of like try to put myself in the shoes of a uber talented athlete at age 37 who's accomplished so much in the KBO, I could see where he's like, yeah, obviously the money would be great, but he's made millions over there. It's not like they get paid nothing. He's getting 2.3 mil. But anyway, I realize 7 mil is way more, could do so much for him, but not everyone's driven by every nickel they can make too. And that's okay as well. So I'm rambling, but Young-Choy kind of pissed me off. I hope he comes back next year, though. We're not closing the door. I don't hate him. He will put up an MVP campaign here in 2024. Go do another one in 25. And then if you want to come back over, I still got a seat warm for you. I'll still try to sign you. All right, moving on. I considered some Daniel Espino trades. He's the number 8 overall prospect. He's still out for one more week with his torn rotator cuff. He's already fragile. And I'm like, is it the right move to cash him in to get that, fabled right-handed bat that we've been talking about? I don't know. And I went looking, and there were some pretty good offers. There's teams interested. I mean, there's some offers that I would say are too good, and this is where my, self-governing on some of the trades comes in because, I'm not going to take Tarek Skubal. They were offering him that doesn't really make a ton of sense. Even if you can justify it of like, you know, like there's a world where the Rays would do some shit like that because Scooble's getting to be a little bit expensive. 12 mil this year, going to be 20 mil next year in arbitration. And, you know, they're always trying to avoid that next big payday. So they would probably do that, where they take on the prospect pitcher who hasn't done anything yet for the guy who is the budding ace. But the Tigers don't have to do that. I'm not going to try to make them do that, even though they didn't have a good season. So, and there were some other guys in the Scooble tier that just didn't really make sense for the team, right? Like, it's not a heinous deal. I don't think you guys would push back on it so much that you're like, oh, that's so stupid that they did that. Gallen was another one, Zach Gallen. We're like, okay, yeah, you can justify it because he's getting expensive now too. He's making 19 mil this year and a team option for 23 mil next year. So if the Diamondbacks are looking to save a few bucks, they've still got some, you know, decent pitching up at the front of their rotation, and then they could get Espino. I didn't want to do that though. So push come to shove, I didn't really land on anything. There was one deal that had a little bit of legs that I almost did, but then push come to shove, I said, you know what? We're going to go in with this big farm system that we have, this second rated farm system with our 2 top 10 prospects and another top 35 guy in Joey Cantillo, and see what we can do. I'm going to hold with Espino, try to turn him into the next great pitcher from Cleveland, and we'll see what's what. This could burn me, but I didn't end up doing anything. As you can see, he's on the team. Here is that trade, though. Go to pending offers, talk to Cincy. No, not this one. They sent that piece of shit. Where's the one I sent them? What the crap? Oh, they might have traded somebody from the team to mitigate that deal. Let's see if that's the case. Nope, Spencer Steer's still there. Are you sure it wasn't there? Check again, Paul. You are kind of an idiot. Nope, just this dumb Jake Fraley deal. All right, well, let me check the other guys real quick. It was this guy. It was Reese Hines, who's still there. Spencer Steer. And frankly, I can't remember the third guy, so that's kind of pissing me off. Because there was one more guy, and it was those three for Espino. Who was it? I think it was another prospect, and they were listed somewhere around Hines. So let's find out. Here's Hines. It wasn't Cam Collier, because I tried that, and they thought I was stupid, which, you know, fair enough. They wanted a pretty big piece for it to be Cam. Okay, yeah, I get that. But it was another player who was like, okay, kind of decent. It was another outfielder. Oh, I know who it was. It's Jay Allen. Okay, here was the deal. A whole ass outfield. Left fielder, center fielder, and a right fielder for Espino. So Spencer Steer, who like doesn't stand out anywhere, but still just churns out 4 or 5 win campaigns because he's excellent, or he's like solid everywhere, which makes you an excellent overall player. He is an individualized representation of Bill James's notion that if you're average everywhere, you are elite in the composite. He says that about a team. If you got 50s at every position, that's going to make for a really, really good team. And frankly, to give Steer his credit, he's got 55s everywhere. So he is a half grade better than average everywhere. And so it turns out to be a really, really sharp player. And he backed up his 2023 breakout with an even better season. More homers, more ribs, 31 points of WRC plus improvement, 121 to 152. So he was just great. 27 years old, another Sporer fave I could be bringing in. So like I'm not fully out on this one either, because that first base idea that I mentioned, he could fill that too, but he is pretty good out in left field, so he could go to left. DeLauder could either learn first in spring, although he's not very good infielder, or play some DH himself. Like, there's a way to get Steer on the team. And then you got Reese Hines here, who's just kind of like a power bat. He's had more power in previous iterations. I think he's been like a 60, 65 with 70 potential. And then the big arm in the corner outfield. Decent speed profile too, but crazy swing and miss. So rarely pans out into anything, but it's a little bit of a gamble. And then Jay Allen is like the opposite. He's just all glove. He was great in my Reds franchise. I've gotten him in other franchises before with that great glove, and I just love I just love a great center field defender. So I was looking at these three for Espino and thinking like this was the closest I got to a deal. And I still, even right this moment, I'm like, do I? Is it worth it? Because like, here's the thing with Espino too. Yes, he's going to be part of the Major League team this year. He's going to skip AAA. But he's got 45 control, 55 BABIP, 50 home run. Now, 70 stuff increases your margin for error a healthy bit. We've seen this with guys before, just across our sims and with players we've had in general. I'm not even going to name any because like this happens all the time, right? This is prospecting for pitchers in a nutshell. Stuff will create the margin for error, and then you kind of make them improve everywhere else to turn them into studs. But if you got stuff, you can survive off of that. So I understand how it works, or how it can work here, but I think there could be some bumps. I don't know. I'm just not fully sold, especially because of this right here, y'all. It's really the fragility. The injury proneness, already being fragile at age 24. That's where it gets me. And that's what makes me wonder, like, because then you look at the rotation too. I'm not saying he doesn't fit. We can find a spot for him. But we do have 6 that I really like right now with Bieber, Bibee, Allen, McKenzie, Raylo, and Joey Cantillo. Hell, Cantillo to Espino. You trade 5 stuff for nothing. Actually, you just lose 5 stuff. Like, that's the only difference between them right now. Same stamina, movement, control. But then as far as the potential, they're dead even at 70, 55, 50. Now the velo is different. Now I don't know how much the velo plays in within the sim, right? Does it just increase margin for error like it does in real life fastballs? And so, his primary pitch, Cantillo's being much worse than Espino's 80 fastball to a 55. That can just create, worse sequencing for him or something. I don't know. But in terms of just the raw skills, like, they're not that different. And Cantillo's our 6 right now. The current plan for Cantillo, because he's not going to, well, I shouldn't say he's not, but he probably won't make the team as a starter, is he's going to be our primary lefty stopper. Him and Ailman, and then Clase's going back to a traditional closer. So that's the plan I'm looking at there. So I don't know, man. I am curious what y'all think on this. We are going to sim forward, and I have some time today that it's going to be a multi-episode recording session. So unfortunately, I won't be able to get thoughts from y'all where I can still act on it in the preseason. Like, by the time that you see this, I'll probably have recorded 2 more episodes and be into the season. I don't usually get too far ahead. My boy PF Holden is excellent at that, but I usually try to operate a couple episodes if I can. So I would love thoughts on this, but it'd be theoretical at this point. Would you have done this deal? I may come around to it and just have done it, and then you're like, oh, I commented that he should have, and then he had already done it. Or I commented that he didn't, and he did. What a loser, unsubscribe. Or I'm not even subscribed, but then maybe you should check and just do that real quick. Listen, the old YouTuber thing, it helps, blah, 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 and it's free. I do appreciate that. Appreciate when y'all comment, too. I always try to respond to comments and engage with y'all there. So, yeah, let me know, because I'm not going to do it right this moment, but I'm agonizing over it. I mean, you can tell this. I'm spending 10 minutes on this thing here because I really do think it's kind of close, but I just can't quite get myself there. Maybe it's just that allure of a top 10 prospect, and that is really intriguing. I like building through the farm system, and so having two top 10s right now, a hitter and a pitcher, I'm really digging that. So I'm gonna hold off right now. I'm probably not gonna do it at all, because another thing too, right? I'm sitting here talking like, we've got 6 pitchers, and so we're set forever. Like, shut up, Paul. You are tempting the gods here by acting like your 6 pitchers is even a modicum of depth, right? You need so many. So to have these 6, Espino, somebody like Joe Boyle, who still has no control, but like is a capable arm. Ben Lively did some good things for us last year. I almost said yesterday. Royber Salinas, who we got in a trade, I was worried he might get taken in the Rule 5, and he did not. So we have developed some depth, but I like having Espino there. So, okay. Speaking of the Rule 5 there with Royber Salinas, we did lose some players. It was a pretty thin pool. Only one guy rated 50 or over. And it's probably because of expansion. That was my idea. You guys can let me know what you think on that. I've never seen a Rule 5 that thin. By the way, there are plenty of good 45s and even 40s. I'm not saying that to mean there was absolutely no viable talent, but as a shorthand, you know, you look for the green, the 50 and above, and there was only one guy in the entire pool. And then the 45s and 40s, they're all kind of a mush where you can find a skill or two that you cling to and you're like, oh, that's pretty good. Let's take a shot on that. Push come to shove, I didn't really find anything, but people found some stuff with our players. We lost 3 guys, which kind of surprised me. And I was a little bummed, but I'm like, okay, we cultivate relievers pretty well as, you know, as a group, me and then you guys as the comments, or when I'm on my Twitch stream as the chat, pretty good at finding and cultivating more relievers. So the fact that we lost 3 of them, I'm not freaking out. First was Will Dion. He went to the Angels, 45 stuff, 55 homer, BABIP, and control with 55 stamina. Not bad. You know, could see him developing into like a 5th starter, maybe a nice little middle relief type guy, extreme ground ball. I get it, but I didn't see fit to really put him on the 40 because this is not a difficult profile to find. The issue is that he's a lefty and he's 24 years old. The issue in terms of like why I would have wanted to keep him. And so that one bummed me a little just because he's 24 and a lefty. I just didn't think he was going to get taken, but maybe he'll come back too. Then we lost Peter Strzelecki. I'll just put Peter Strzelecki to the Reds. Now this one, I was like, dang, maybe I should have looked a little closer, but he's 30. So he's better, 60 stuff, 55 homer and BABIP, and then 50 control. But we can find this profile, I promise you. But I was like, oh, better than I thought he was. I didn't really give him a deep look from his AAA numbers, but he is 30. He has my birthday though, October 24th. So that would have been one reason to keep him. And then between Dion, Strzelecki, and Nick Enright went to the Yankees, I believe. Yeah, Nick Enright to the Yankees, and he flips the Strzelecki profile. 50 stuff, 50 home run, 55 BABIP, 60 control, 28 years old. Not bad either, but I can find all 3 of those guys. But the 24-year-old lefty is a little much. Oh, Henry just laid like right here. I thought he was going to go and ring his little doorbell. I'm like, well, that's going to be bad because Jen's out and he'd have to wait a few. I did make sure they went out before I started this. I'm not trying to deprive the dogs of their outside time. But sometimes he rings that bell like 20 minutes after going out. And I'm like, bud, you can't go right back out. So there, we lost those guys in Rule 5. We did not take anybody. We signed Tomas Nido to be our backup. Remember, we didn't want to pay $4 million to Austin Hedges, and he probably wouldn't have cost $4 million again. Let's see what he wants on the market right now. Offer contract. He wants 2. So fair enough. We could have brought him back, but I went with Tomas Nido instead, who has leader, high work ethic, great defensive profile, and just a bit better of a bat, and he's younger, right? So compare him to Hedgie, and it's just 4. Everything's on 5 or 0, and I'm like, he has 4 extra points. 5 extra gap. Everything else is equal. Who cares about running? They're never on base. And then defensively, we lose 5 blocking and 10 framing, but get 5 arm. And he is 2 years younger. And frankly, I was just like, I just signed somebody before I checked to see what Hedges wanted. I'm not going to try to make some big thing about how Tomas Nido's better. I didn't even think about looking at Hedgie because of the $4 million he wanted last year. And I didn't consider that he would want less this year, so he's not coming back. I'm not too worried about it. Tomas Nido actually helps the clubhouse too. Now, he doesn't have the captain status, so it would be a little bit better to have Hedgie. But we save, what, $300,000? What do we sign Tomas Nido for? Oh, 1.5. We save $450,000, so all good. Top free agents. Handful of signed. There's still a decent group out there. Okay, Soto has signed recently. That just happened because that wasn't on my list yet. But he's going to the Dodgers. JD's going to Philly. Oh, wow. All right, and then Jordan Montgomery just signed too. He's going back to St. Louis. Ooh, okay. I simmed a couple days from the time I updated my notes until now, so those were just new signings. But Blake Snell and Cody Bellinger are going to the Mets. Go take a look at them. They got Blake atop their rotation, Belly hitting second, so they had a big offseason there. Willie Adames, as he's been doing in like virtually every sim I've been seeing, both with mine, although this is my first one, but then the ones I've been watching online, he goes to the Dodgers. It's just such a great fit. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if they brought him in this year and then move Betts back to second or something, because Lux isn't doing shit. I like Gavin Lux, but he's just not going well. So he gets a 5-year deal, but he can opt out after 25 mil for those first 2 years, then 24 mil for 3 years after that. Not a bad deal. Kyle Hendricks, not usually somebody I would bring up under like big deals. I usually look for guys that made double-digit millions per year, and he got freaking paid, dude. He is making 11.5 mil for 4 years. What did he do last year? Okay, I guess he was back to a decent Hendricks level, 4.09 ERA, 134 WHIP for 203 innings, but I don't know about that. I know I wouldn't have signed that, but I guess the skills are there. 60 home run allowance, 70 control. That's not a bad combo. You can live off of that, so okay. Glaber goes back to the Yankees. So there he is, coming off of a pretty solid year. Although, oh wow, this is interesting. I didn't notice this. He got traded to the Twins in the second half of last year, went over and dominated with them after having a great start with the Yankees. So they cashed him in because they had been having a terrible season. They end up getting Danny DeAndre, a decent prospect, and wait, who the hell was that other guy? I hate when it does that, when it goes back like 5 pages. Kyler Fedko, who is whatever, but two moderately interesting pieces for a guy you sign 3 months later. I like that. That's a sharp move there. So Glaber, it's fitting that they would do it with Glaber too, considering what Glaber was part of with the Aroldis Chapman situation where they traded him and then they signed Chapman back. So I see what you're doing there, Yankees. But they paid Glaber a good bit. 5 years, 107 mil, making 16 this year, then 19, 22, 25, 25. The last one is a player option. And then you guys just saw the 2 big ones after that. Soto to the Dodgers, just what they need. Juan freaking Soto. Get out of here, Dodgers. Unbelievable. They also got Tommy Edman and David Schneider. Henry got up, and when I said, get out of here, I thought he was going to leave. You don't have to leave, buddy. You're good. What'd they pay Soto? They gave him 8 years, 320 mil. That's not quite enough, but it's fine. And then Monty back to the Cards. Cardinals coming off a decent season. Yeah, 85-77. That's not bad at all. Jormont is going to headline their rotation, or at least be the number one, the first to go. I don't know that he's necessarily the ace. I think Gray's better from a skill standpoint, but they're pretty close. So there you go. There's the big free agents. And like I said, preseason is going to start the next day. We'll see if we get any extra money. I don't know that we're in a position to do so. We have about 12 mil left right now. We've got 20 in the scouting budget, 24 in the dev budget. I feel good about that. Let's go over here, make sure everything's set. 11.5 mil in the draft budget. Got the standard 4.75 for the international free agency market, which is coming up here. So that's good. And we're going to have to generate the schedule. I don't think there's a schedule with our new settings. So let's do this. Let's sim to the next day. And as we get closer, after seeing the offseason, I decided to raise your budget from 184 to 200. Bang! We got 34 mil now, y'all. Ooh, baby. Now that's awesome. We also got a 25%, call it 26, we round up over here, percent raise in season tickets, adding to our attendance and revenue nicely. Okay, I'm seeing this. This is nice. Now, what can we do with it? What the hell? The Colorado Rockies are moving to Jacksonville. They're going to be the Jacksonville Irish. That is freaking amazing. Oh my God, that's so funny. They deserve it. I'm sorry. Unfortunately, that's going to take the one purple team out of the league. I love the purple. That's the most frustrating part. Literally the most frustrating part. Not the fact that their fans are suffering and that their team isn't good. The most frustrating part about the Rockies sucking is they have such a great color scheme and they could be so cool if they were like a badass team. That's why I still have like a little cult love for them despite their ownership and management, because I love the purple. It's just awesome. Anyway, they're the Jacksonville Irish now. Suck it, Colorado. And we got more money to play with. What's out there? What can we do with that? You know, we could just splurge on a 1-year signing here, and it could be exactly what we wanted. And we were just talking about it with Choi. Now, Young-Choy was not costing very much. This guy that I'm going to suggest will. But the guy I'm going to suggest is also better. No offense to Choi. But what if we go for Goldie? He's a better player. He's coming off of a legit season here. Not like he's doing in real life right now. He's durable. What's he want? I doubt he just wants a year is the thing. Well, he's actually down to 2 years. Okay. He wants 35 mil. I'm not really worried about that because that's hilarious. Stop it. Pop a little 10 off the top of that. I'll go 28. Then the option, the vesting option, if you play 135 games, I don't hate that. I don't hate it, but I don't know. Let's see what other right-handed or not left-handed bats are available. You can be a switch or Reno. Bat is not left-handed, so he's the best, he being Goldschmidt. And you got Josh Bell, a reunion perhaps. He's kind of like Steer. So looking at him, you know, Steer's defensive value is much higher, but looking at Josh Bell kind of makes me think that that's Steer. No, Steer's not all we're getting. I understand we'd be getting Reese Hines and Jay Allen as well, but I'm kind of looking at that, you know, through the prism of Josh Bell, and I'm like, well, maybe we don't need to go doing that. Mark Canha. He doesn't have the pop I'm looking for. I love Mark Canha. I love that he's a Tiger. But we need power. In fact, let's put a little power. Ooh, that really tightens the pool when we go 60 plus power. Hell, Goldie doesn't even make that. Let's do 55. Not 855. 55. All right, Goldie's back in the mix. Chapman, well, he is third base, and he plays a good third base, though, so we can't really do that with J-Ram. Tyler O'Neill is nicked up with a busted elbow. Plus, he's an outfielder. I don't know. I mean, an outfielder isn't terrible because we're kind of looking for a DH. So we could kind of even just go real cheap with it if we wanted. Like maybe an Adam Duvall move makes some sense. Like he can play defense too. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of going for Goldie. Honestly, if he'll do a 1 year, I'll do it. I only want to do the 1 year. I just don't want to get committed beyond that. And I'll give you, you know what? I'll give you 2.5 mil if you win the MVP. And frankly, I'll give you a fat milli if you make the All-Star team. I'm a nice guy. Whoops, what did I do? 28 mil with 2.5 if you win MVP. I mean, he's not going to win MVP. But if he does, great. I'd happily give him 2.5 mil. What are we talking about, you know? We do have to give him a draft pick, which is probably the biggest reason not to do this. I wonder if we could find a trade for somebody, because then we don't have to give him a draft pick, you know? Like even Soler, he's coming off a really wretched season. Casty? Henry just heard a car. It's not Jen. She's staying at her friend Emily's tonight. She's not coming home. Bachelor night. But poor Henry hears a car and he's like, ooh, mom's home. Oh, Hunter Renfroe is amazing against lefties. Holy Toledo. You know what I'd really like to do, though? And I'm not against trying to trade for Hunter Renfroe here. But what I think would be best is to trade for somebody who's making some real money to leverage the extra money that way. The thing of it is, I think that's going to take more time. And I don't want to, do that entire thing here because I don't even know who we're going to go for. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cut the episode here. I thought we were going to get a little bit further if I'm being honest. So I'm sorry about that. I'll get you to the Hall of Fame results. Let's do that. Let's bust another week off the schedule here real quick. Oh, speaking of, let me create the schedule. Let's do a couple small things here to cap it off, and then we'll get and see if we want to do something with that money. Go to league settings, league and teams. I know Shard, see, and then Shard is over there with Henry, and they're both thinking like, heck yeah, this is great. Generate schedule, boom, we got it. Now I hope this isn't like the goofiest ass schedule ever. But once you get expansion, things can get a little whack. For example, we're not starting till April 7th now, which I don't love, but that's okay. Oh, we only go in a week into October. That's fine. All right. And then do we have a bunch of weird-ass days off? Oh, no, it's on the Monday and Thursday. Okay. Even though it really doesn't matter, and I understand that, I do get a little annoyed when we have like a bunch of Fridays off or like Sundays or some shit. I'm like, come on. Baseball, like it'd be insane to consistently not play on a Friday, a Saturday, or a Sunday. Having any of those days off with any regularity is certifiably insane. So I like that the schedule is actually legit. Now let's get to those Hall of Fame results, and we'll cap it there. We got to put Kyle Bradish on the squadron. There we go. That's done. And let's see who makes the Hall. I like where our offseason's at. It's an understated offseason to be sure, but I think we have a pretty decent team that came up short last year. Obviously, if we just run it back as is with no changes, I don't think good things are going to happen. What the frick? This asshole undercut us? Oh my goodness. Another rug pull. It would seem that it's my fault. I was checking to see if I'd ever gotten an email that he was with LA or that he liked LA's deal, and I'm exposing myself here. That's on me. That's on me. Now, Juan Venegas here was a Cuban 26-year-old reliever coming over. Was going to make a bit of money, and I was trying to sign him to I think a 2-year deal. No, I might have done the 2 with the team option. I don't remember, but it was something similar to this. I figure we had some money. This was even before the money boost. I was like, we got some money. We can get a premium reliever. I don't mind. Sometimes when there's not much going on in the free agent market, I will spend on a reliever. Generally, I just talked about it earlier this episode, that I'm pretty good at cultivating relievers, finding different guys that can succeed. But on occasion, there's a big arm out there and we've got some cash, nothing else to really spend it on. I'll go for it. And so I was going for it with him. Now, I did just notice that he's a side armor, which does create a pretty big platoon split. So if I can huff a little bit of copium on this and say, I didn't want him anyway. Like those freaking incels when they get, politely declined by a woman who's like, oh, no, thank you. I have a boyfriend. Well, you're fat, ugly, and stupid anyway, you dumb piece of crap, loser, idiot. I don't even know why I bought you 10 dozen flowers that you don't want. You stupid loser. So that's me with Juan Venegas. I'm like, I didn't even want sidearm, dude. I didn't even know you had a hideous sidearm. That's so disgusting, bro. Anyway, Todd Helton, Ichiro Suzuki, Adrian Beltre, Billy Wagner making the Hall of Fame. CC very close in his first year. Andrew Jones is right on the cusp. Beltran's getting there. Bauer's working his way up. Bartolo in the first year gets a cool 48%. I like it. A-Rod, 4th year, only at 47. Manny, also low. I wonder how the game kind of programs holding them back a little bit. Because on their raw stats, of course, they moonwalk into the Hall of Fame. But obviously they have the PED stuff, which kind of mitigates them a little bit. And the game seems to replicate that pretty well. And I'm curious how that's done. So kudos to them. Curtis Granderson, I did vote for him. I won't lie to y'all. I will vote for him every year. I do not care. He's my favorite player ever. All right, let's cap it here. We haven't moved a ton. I mean, we're here on January 22nd. We have, I guess. There hasn't been a ton that's gone on. It's been a little bit of a light off season, but I still think the team's rounding into shape nicely. I think a couple things that we're going to be looking for. Possibly another big relief arm. Possibly. Let's see what's available on that front. And then this big right-handed bat that we're chasing. There's not much on the pitching side. My favorite pitcher ever is available, Justin Verlander, but he's not quite Justin Verlander, so I'm not really that interested. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. Oh, Teoscar. He could be our righty. Oh, well, never mind. His ratings have become quite pedestrian. So we'll have to figure that out. Maybe start the next episode with a big move. I'll let y'all, obviously that'll be the first thing I'll let y'all know, and then we'll be getting into the 2025 season. Thank y'all so much for watching. Peace.